Today is the HSE XO. What's it called? Grand Reserve Extra View. That's what we're focusing on. This again was another one of those rums that I did in that live show when we did that Agricole blind tasting ages ago now. So again, this hasn't been, I haven't focused back on this since. And another confession before we go any further, you know, I do try and keep rums to 50 quid, but I had this. It was always my intention to drop this during this tasting. I was looking at buying others to kind of sort of fit into that £50. But do you know what? I just thought, so price-wise, let's go straight into that. Let's go over it. So to come straight into this, this is £71 in the UK. Master of Malt price, again, £71, which translates to $90. And 82 euros. Again, if that's not what you pay in the US or in Europe or Australia or wherever you are, let me know your price below, because all I've done is the conversion. I'm not saying it is $90 in the US. I'm saying it's £71 here in the UK, which £71 is $90. So it's a little bit over budget. But do we, you know, when we go up to that price, do we get an oomph in quality? Do we get, you know, is it worth spending that? So that's what I'm going to sum up by the end of this video. Should you spend the extra £20 on this over that Trois Rivières that I did in the previous video? Should you spend, it's basically £30, what's that, $40 plus more than the Rum St James VSOP? Let's find out. Let's dive into the nuts and bolts and then have a little taste. So, again, Martinique Distillery, obviously, Martinique, the Simon Distillery. Simon, as I mentioned, Rum Clément used to get a lot of their liquid from Simon. They don't anymore. So as far as I'm aware, the Simon Distillery is HSE, Habitation Saint Etienne. That's what it stands for. So it's Simon Distillery. 43% ABV, so we've gone back up. We've got a little bit of a bump in alcohol from the Trois Rivières, so we're back at the same ABV as the Rum St James VSOP. This is now a 6-year-old, which is kind of XO territory. So bearing in mind, VSOP is like 4 and 5-year-old, 6 years old and over is like into XO territory. But it does contain rums, I like this fact, does contain rums distilled in the 60s. So a slight blend of that is rums that have been aged, you know, in the 60s or distilled in the 60s, you know, so they've got a little bit there, but they do want to focus on the XO part of this. It's only a tiny minuscule of this. So where are we now? You know, almost 60-year-old elements of 60-year-old rum that's gone into this. So again, you've got a price point of that. And again, this is distilled in aged in French oak, not American oak. So if I did say, I think I did say American oak in that AOC video, but I want to emphasize it's oak. Okay, so it can be French oak, can be American oak. Now in the old nostrils, this has got everything going on. Let's start off with the office. Vanilla from the barrel aging. You know, and it's, even at 6 years old, and yes, you've got a slight element, as I say, of that rum distilled in the 60s. You've got that slight element in there. It's that slight wood, that oak notes, but it is vanilla. And vanilla, I kind of tend to get off younger aged rums, if you like. I like that vanilla-y notes off younger aged rums. So I've got plenty of vanilla, but I have got oak. I have got that little bit of spiciness. I've got plenty of fruit coming off that, and all kinds of fruit. We've got, I'm probably going to say oranges, but you know, it's citrusy. I think I'm more going to settle on oranges, but I have got a very sort of subtle hint of sort of tropical fruit coming off there as well. I'm getting honey vibes off that. I'm getting a nuttiness. I'm thinking, the way I come from that, I'm thinking amaretto. So I kind of get that nuttiness, almonds essentially. And I think, hang on, let me just have a little swirl, but I think I'm kind of getting maybe a little whiff of coconut off there as well. But it's just got everything going on. So if you're looking at a spider, again, I will start dropping these in, but you know, if you're thinking Rum X and how they kind of show you stuff on there, if you look at that spidergram, I think I'm probably going more vanilla forward than anything else, but it has got that abundance of fruit. It has got that little bit of spice. It is rounded. It is that floralness to it. Do I, on the smell, again, do I pick this up as a sugarcane juice rum, an agricole rum over a molasses rum? Again, it is different to what I'm used to with molasses. So again, it's process of elimination as opposed to, kind of smelling that and instantly picking that up as cane juice, as agricole. It hasn't, for me, in your face, grassy, herbaceous funk kind of vibe to it, agricole vibe. There's a subtleness to it, but I get more of that vanilla. Maybe it's that rounded sugar smell. Maybe as I go further down this journey, maybe that's what I should be focusing on for me as cane juice rums, because it's that distinct smell, that distinct aroma that I don't get with molasses rums. I get more treacle, more toffee, more caramel off that, whereas these I kind of get this. The best way I can describe it, actually, more that. The best way I can describe it, they kind of do smell like that, which is Monin's brown cane sugar syrup. That's what it smells like more to me. And I never get that vibe off molasses rums. But I want to emphasize that point, that does it smell sweet? No, it doesn't smell sugary sweet. It just smells like sugar. So don't interpret that as, oh, it's sweet. Interpret that, it just smells like sugar. Now on the taste, look, even that is such a weird thing. That 3% bump in alcohol over the Trois Rivières just brings so much more to the party. And I think for me, if I'm being hypercritical of that Trois Rivières, I just want that at a higher ABV. I think I'm in that point with cane juice rums where 40% probably does nothing for me, in all honesty. But even at only 3%, and this is the hard thing to comprehend, even at 3% brings you more alcohol, more rumminess, more flavour, and does light your eyes up a little bit more. So thinking about that Rum X Spidergram, this would definitely punch out more in the woody, spiced kind of portfolio as opposed to fruit. There was a little bit of fruit there, but it's definitely more vanilla. It's definitely more barrel aged. It's definitely more spice notes. There's like a peppery tingle. Cinnamon. I'm probably going more cinnamon, maybe nutmeg, but probably more of that sort of tingle. But vanilla, you know, it is vanilla, but a softer vanilla than the Trois Rivières. I think that extra bump in alcohol really does sort of bring that peppery spice, that cinnamony spice up. It detracts from that vanilla sort of sweet smoothness, if you like. If I'm going fruity, I'm going more dried fruit, more sultanas, raisins probably, more dates, that kind of vibe. I probably wouldn't pick citrus off this. I probably wouldn't pick like orange, lemon, lime, anything like that. I'm probably, if I'm being brutally honest, I'm probably not picking anything floral off this either. Vegetal. This would be a real struggle for me to pick out as cane juice rum if it wasn't for the fact of that texture. And I'm seeing this trait now, this inherent trait. And bearing in mind, this is what have I done properly? 5, 6, probably 6 or 7 proper cane juice rums since I've been focusing on them. Actually, slightly more because I've been focusing on Guadeloupe as well while I've been doing this. So they have got this. It's the only way I personally can kind of guide you is that it has got a different texture, a different mouthfeel to molasses rum. I can't really be any more detailed than that, other than the fact they just taste smoother, silky smooth. Bearing in mind, if they are AOC, if they have got the words Martinique on there, there is absolutely zero sugar added. So that trait comes from cane juice being distilled and not molasses being distilled. So where do I sit with this rum? What do I think about it? Let's answer those power questions. You know, is it value for money? Have I got anything behind the bar already that tastes like it? Would I restock it? I'm getting pretty good at trying to get into, look at me bigging myself up, but trying to get into the psyche of you guys, the average viewer. Not that you're average, but you know, the cross section of viewers here. Look, those of you that love neat sipping rums, high aged sipping rums, molasses rums, you're going to adore this. This is proper in your playground. It has got that bite do you want. It has got that kind of smoothness that you want. You don't need to, I'm not even going to bother turn that into, what's the word, a tea punch. You don't need to. That's going to make a fantastic tea punch. It's going to make a fantastic rum fashioned. But that is very much a sipping rum for proper rum connoisseurs. Whiskey lovers that come over to rum, if you're looking at this, you're going to adore this. There's nothing about that you are not going to love. But for me personally, I just think it's got a bit too much on it. I have fallen in love with that out of this little section of videos. And this is going to be interesting for me to sort of go down VSOPs versus XOs and slightly, I mean, we're only talking a year's difference. Oh, right, there's a bump in ABV, you know, with an extra 3% ABV. Actually, no, I'm thinking of Trois Rivières. The same ABV, but a year difference. But I just love the fruitier vibes that come off that compared to that. That, for me, does hint longer aging. Whereas I love the lightness, the freshness, the fruitiness of that. So now, even at this very early stage of changes of agricole journeys for me, I'm very interested to look at other VSOPs, slightly younger age, that really do bring that fruit element to it. Because comparing that for me to, as a Barbados, to a Jamaican with those big fruit notes, you know, I really, really like that. That's an all-rounder for me. This, yes, I'm going to be honest, I'm slightly put off by the price. 70, let's go back to the price. 71 pounds, which translates to $90 US dollars, 82 euros. I get it. I totally understand it. And I think, you know, I know it's expensive. I get that it's expensive. I 100% get that whiskey lovers are going to love and adore that over that. And neat rum drinkers, you know, if you're the Dawley's 14, the Appleton 12s, the Dawley's 12s, the Eldorado 12s, Eldorado 15s, that is totally in your playground. Totally. I'm just, and you know, you can take this with a pinch of salt. You can take it that, you know, oh, my palate isn't, you know, as evolved as some of you guys or whatever. I just like younger aged rums. That's all it is, you know. And there's a big kind of, how can I put it? There's a big kind of thing going around, you know, if you don't like 10, 12, 14-year-old rums, you know, even certain other media, I'm just going to put it out there as media, you know, there's always this bigging up of, we want longer age rums, we want 12-year-old rums, we want 15-year-olds on. Oh, I wonder what that would taste like with another 10 years in a barrel. I'm not going to get sucked into that. I don't want to get sucked into that. And I want you guys, if you are with me, to be, you know, if you like younger age stuff, be loud and proud about it. Don't feel that you have to fit in, because some of those, even the British stuff, the UK stuff, Scotland, Cornish, you know, England, wherever, you know, brings so much different bags of different flavour profiles going on that I don't think needs rounding off with wood, with barrel aging. And, you know, these are no different. I think that, for me, has gone too far in a barrel. It's lovely, it's nice, but again, as much as I love drinking that neat, I would grab that to drink neat. So price, a little bit inflated for me. I get it, I understand it. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to argue with it. I wouldn't restock that, no. Because again, if I'm wanting something to sip neat, I'm probably going Plantation XO, to be fair. Again, sweeter because of the extra added sugar. You know, I totally get it. I totally get that. You know, I know what you cane heads are thinking. I totally get it. I totally get it. But I'm not restocking that. But I'm really inquisitive to go down more of this route, more of the VSOPs. I have got another few XOs to look at, but I've also got some few VSOPs to look at as well. So this is going to be an interesting ongoing journey.